Good day and welcome to Data Color Academy. My name is Jeff Watts. I'm a Senior Application Specialist with Data Color. And today we're going to talk about working with schedules and cues in our matching software, Match Pigment. So our agenda for today is we're going to do this all online with a demo of schedulers and cues within Match Pigment. We'll start the demo first with a quick refresh on product line and what that is from a matching point of view and how it relates to our next topic, which would be schedules. From creating schedules, we'll move into cues. With cues, we'll look at creating cues, matching with cues, some sorting options, dispensing cues, and then correcting cues. So let's hop right into the demo. So as you can see, we have a computer set up here, and we've got Match Pigment already open, and I've already taken the liberty of opening a couple of things down below that we'll be looking at. But mostly we're going to be dealing with this icon right here, schedule maintenance and queue maintenance. And then a feature that we have called Queue Viewer, which happens after you actually match a queue. So what we're talking about today in Match Pigment has to do with volume matching. An example of this would be in the architectural paint business, where color labs there have palettes of colors that could be anywhere from 1,000 to 2,000 different colors that they have to match with a variety of different products that they have in order to provide validated formulas to the paint stores that will be dispensing those formulas into paint cans. So the first thing that I'd like to take a look at in Match Pigment is I'd like to go ahead and jump into Formula Central real quick. And the reason I wanted to hop into here is because I wanted to take a look at a job and again explain the fact that you have the capability within a job of being able to have multiple colorant sets, such as a product line. You can see it here. And in this particular product line, it's the manufacturer, its name is Retail. It's an interior latex system, which basically consists of 4 different bases, and these 4 bases are individual colorant sets or databases that are used to match the colors in the job. So instead of just using one colorant set, we combine 4, so that way the system will go through and match the color in the proper base. So now that we have a refresher of what a product line is within a job and the fact that you can have multiple colorant sets within a job, what I'd like to talk about next is schedules. And I'll open up schedule maintenance here. And basically what a schedule is it is being able to group jobs together to be able to match multiple or a color with multiple different jobs or multiple colors with multiple jobs. I know this sounds a little bit confusing, but bear with me here and hopefully it'll clear up in a little bit. You can see here that I have a demo schedule in here already. And within that demo schedule, I have a couple of job templates. I can easily create a new schedule by clicking the plus. Once I click the plus, it's asking for a name. I can type in a name here for my schedule. Let's just call it interior. And within my interior schedule, I can then pick job templates. For example, the job template that I was looking at earlier was product line retail. Remember, that was interior, an interior product line or interior basis. I can open that. I can then add another job template, which possibly has another product line. Let's just say product line industrial. I'll open this up and add this. Let's say this was another product that had my industrial interior products, and so on and so forth. So I can have a schedule with interior that would include all my product lines for my interior products, and those product lines would include all my bases or colorant sets. So you can see we're being able to group job templates into schedules makes it easier to match large jobs with multiple products. We won't save this. We'll go ahead and cancel out. And what we'll do now is, now that we understand we have product lines, which are jobs, and then we can group jobs together with which are schedules, then we need to be able to take this information and match it up with the targets or the samples that we want to match. And that's where queue maintenance comes into play. So we're going to open up queue maintenance here. And again, same basic format as far as building these are concerned, or same basic outline where when I want a new queue, I would click the plus. Before we do that, you can see that I have a queue in here already. It is highlighted. Notice that I have 37 jobs associated with 37 samples in one folder. Once I have actually created a queue, I have the capability of going in and editing that queue if I desire, or I can actually purge the queue out. When I click on Purge Queue right here, what happens is it purges out all the jobs that this particular queue would have, leaves the samples, so that way I could actually go in and match the queue again, which it gives me that option right here. So this is a very quick way of being able to go through your individual queues and decide if you need to do rematches or edits or what have you. What we're going to do right now is we're going to go ahead and create a new queue and kind of walk through the process of matching multiple samples. So I will click this plus here for a new queue, and we'll call this queue palette. So we're going to match a palette of colors, and that palette for that queue is going to be located, we'll just leave it in our demo folder, and you have the option here to be able to put your results in a different folder if you so desire. We'll leave it in demo also. And then I have queue type down here. Remember what I was talking about earlier. You have a job template, so you can match multiple targets with a job that could have multiple products or multiple colorant sets or not with product line. You could match that palette with a schedule, which would be multiple jobs together, or you do have another option, which is called multi-schedule, which would be multiple schedules. If you think about the example that we used before, where I had all my interior products in my interior schedule, I could have all my exterior products in my exterior schedule, and so on and so forth. So eventually I could pick a particular palette and conceivably be able to match all my colors in all my products at one point in time. For the sake of this demo, we will pick a job template, also for the sake of time, so that way it doesn't take a while grinding away on formulas. And the job template that we're going to select is we are going to go ahead and pick our retail product line and open it up. Now that we have our job template that we want to use, we need to come over here and pick our palette colors. I have a couple of options here. I can select by samples, or I can select by folders. I will go ahead and click folders here. This is a nice feature because if you've read your palette into your system and have it located in a folder, you do not have to pick individual samples to match. You can actually go in and pick the folder itself. I'll click the plus here. I'll come down and I'll pick my palette folder that I have, and I'll click save. You'll notice that now the system comes up and it says we're going to be matching the palette, and the number of samples that I have in this palette is 10 samples. At this point in time, once I have this set up, I have a couple of different options. I can save this and go back and actually run the queue and match later if I so desire, or I can match now. We'll click match now. And you'll notice that when you click match now, what the system is going to do is it's going to bring up a small window that basically says, hey, I'm ready to start queue matching. The beauty of this is let's say that we have a realistic large palette that we're doing. I can click begin, the system will start matching, and then I can shrink this down and go off and do other things with Match Pigment while it's matching in the background, and the system, as you will see, will pop up a message saying that it's done. We also have the ability to be able to choose different match methods if we so desire to be able to match the color. This is combinatorial. I could do search only, search and correct, or auto formulate. We'll leave it at combinatorial and begin. And you can see that the system now is starting to run through samples to match. It'll show you the individual colors that are being matched and what job template or schedule that it's using to match those. Once the system gets done, it will pop up this result, cues to be matched. Palette was the queue to be matched. Number of samples were 10, and actually the number of matches that it was able to do is 10, which is handy because you'll know if your products will be able to match the palettes or the group of targets that you're attempting to match right away. At the bottom here, I could click exit. The system will store the queue in our demo folder for access later, or I can actually launch our queue viewer, which we will go ahead and do for this demo. Okay, now that we have our queue viewer open, let's take a little bit of time to explain this page because it can look a little bit complicated. What you see here in the middle is for each individual standard. If you see where my mouse is here, I'll wiggle it a little bit. It says DC001 white. That is one target or one sample that I had to match. In matching that sample, our job created 10 individual formulas for that particular white sample. So these are those 10 formulas that are listed here. The same with the DZ003 and the pale white and the other, let's see, 7 of them below. You can also see that below this area, I have a status bar down here at the bottom. It says samples 10, jobs 10. Each one of these would be a job. And then there's some markings that we have through here as far as if anything's been selected and how they've been selected. And I'll explain that in a little bit, but it will give you a status of kind of where you're at to make sure that you don't get lost as to what you're in the middle of doing when dealing with a number of different formulas. So starting at the right-hand side, you'll see that I have a customized tile area right here. Each one of these formulas that you have here is considered a tile. I can make these tiles smaller or bigger, as you can see. I can also make these tiles wider or less wide, depending on what you want to look at. And over here, this very little 3-dot area, I can click on this, which I can get to at a pull down menu, but this is handy because I can actually pick the things that I want to see in the tile. Formula, details, and acceptance criteria as to whether I'm considering accepting, rejecting, or visually accepting this particular formula. Also, there's an area for formula notes. And I can turn these sections on or off and customize this as I see fit. Over here in the next area, I'll get to this in a little bit. This has to do with correcting the queue. I will say that this scan QR code, we do have QR capabilities. If you are printing out these particular jobs and you have the QR code printed on the job and have barcode reader, you can then read that QR code and the system will jump to the correct formula immediately for you. Very, very handy to have when doing volume matching. Over here in the center, now that I have my formulas up, I may want to sort my formulas. Right now I'm in Formula Central order. This is the order that they came up out of Formula Central. I'm going to click on one of these formulas right here just to show that the formula that you're on highlights in red. I can come up to Formula Central Order, click on this, and let's say that I wanted to sort this by contrast ratio. The system would then sort by contrast ratio on the highest to the lowest. I can also sort on primary DE. If I sort on primary DE, you'll see that the system will sort on primary DE, how it moved, even though this is higher in contrast ratio, it's lower in primary DE. If you look at my DC001 white, my DE primary here is 0.00. Formula is up at the top, and then some other information in here as well. So depending on how you like to sort your formulas, this would be how you could set this up. After this, if these are the formulas that I would like to accept, I have a very quick way of being able to accept visible first formulas. So I've run my queue, I've sorted my queue. If I click on this button, notice how it puts a check in the first formulas available for accepted. Now, if I'm down to this many formulas, I want to make sure to get to one formula that I'm dispensing and one formula that I'm looking at. So in my view area here, in this area, I can actually view standards or standards and formulas. If I view standards, this is what I'm looking at. This is standards and formulas together. On my standard view, I am looking at all of them. On my formula view, I'm looking at all of them. Since we have accepted formulas here, let's change this to show me my accepted formulas. Here, now, we've eliminated all the other formulas and we've narrowed it down to these formulas that I have accepted. If there are formulas that you are not accepting, but you're considering, let's go ahead and click these two as a consider as an example. And notice as I click them, they're still viewed as standards because I'm showing all of them, but they're not being showed as accepted formulas anymore, just as standards. If I click on this and click on consider, you will see that it flips. It shows all my standards because I would like to see them all, but it's only showing formulas that I have marked consider at this point in time. So this sorting function is very, very handy to make sure that you're focused on what you're actually working on. We will go ahead and make these accept for right now. And as you click the accept, you notice how they fall into not being seen. The reason being, we're only on considered formulas right now. And as you can see, there's a myriad of different ways that you can sort and look at these formulas depending on what is most important to you. We'll go ahead and flip over to accepted. So now for each one of our standards, we have our setup and our accepted formulas. And down here at the bottom, you can see on our status bar, 10 samples, 10 jobs, 10 of them are accepted. If I did click one as consider, you'll notice that only 9 are accepted at this point in time. Let's go ahead and flip that back. To accepted. And we'll show our formulas as accepted. Once I get this done, then obviously there may be some more work that I need to do on these. I can jump to any given formula here by clicking on this down arrow if I so desire. I can also, if I have multiple job templates that I'm working at, I can segregate by job templates to look at sets of formulas. And I have my queue name up here. Also at the top, I have the ability to add notes to these formulas. If I click on notes, for example, and I click on add note to all visible formulas, if I highlight that, I have some notes that I have in here already preloaded. I can always click the plus to add more notes. But if I wanted to add a test note, it's a matter of just a simple check here, clicking add, and you'll notice the test note shows up on all my formulas as I scroll through them. Once my formulas are done and ready to go, I know that these are set. I've got decent predictions on them. I've got them sorted. I've got my notes on them. Now I can actually come up here and click dispense, and I can dispense visible accepted formulas. What this does is this will write a file out into your computer that if your dispenser can accept this file or be designed to accept this file, then all those formulas get populated into your dispenser or dispensers for dispensing without having to move them or hand type them in. This eliminates a myriad of errors that happen due to human error or transposing numbers or what have you. Okay, let's say that we've got our Q dispensed. Now what we need to do is we need to go in and read all of the weigh-ups that we've done to see if they match or they don't match or they need corrected. This again can all be handled within QViewer without having to leave and go to Formula Central. The way this is handled is you can come down here. I will come down to this cream color, right click on it, and say that I would like to measure a trial. Once I click on measure trial, it gives me the option here to come in and measure. I do not have an instrument hooked up in this demo, so I will head for my database. And I happen to have a first shot cream color. I click confirm and I click finish. You'll notice that the formula has now changed. The formula is now as is delta E 2.69. So basically my initial way up that I have is off based on what I really wanted to have this formula produce. I can then go through here and click on every other sample that I have and measure in that particular color. Again, if I have a QR code, I could scan the QR code if I have that with the paperwork, and it will take me to the right color. Once I have all these measured in, you'll notice that this area over here activates for Q correction. If you're wondering which items in your queue have been measured or haven't been measured, again, you can come back to your sort options, come down here to measured, and you'll notice that what I have measured as opposed to what I have accepted, this is the one that I have measured in. So you never really lose your place with QViewer to be able to find out where you need to be or what you're in the process of doing, especially if something happens where you've got somebody coming in and picking up after shift change. We'll go ahead and switch this back over to accepted. And as we come over here to correction, you'll notice that I can apply tolerances and then correct the Q automatically once I measure this in. When we're talking about tolerances, I'll click on this this pull down menu right here, and you see my tolerances available. When I set up my Q, I can set up my tolerances for compatibility, measured DE, primary DE, metamerism, so on and so forth. And then this will sort and reject or accept or allow you to see things that are within the tolerances that you set up. So again, it's a set of filters to be able to filter through formulas that are found to make sure that you get down to the right formula for the particular sample that you're looking for. You'll notice at the bottom I have correction tolerances as well for the Q, accepted corrected tolerance, as well as consider. Anything underneath a delta E of 1 would be considered an accept and would not be corrected. Anything from a consider delta E of 3 down to 1 would be corrected in this particular setup. Once I get done with the applicable tolerances that I want, Then it's a matter of clicking on correct cue. The cue will correct. I come back in, and then I start sorting through my corrections to make sure my delta E's are correct, save the ones that I want, recorrect the ones that may not have made it on the first correction. So I have a very automated way of being able to go through this system and get down to the formula that I want with corrections and work through a large number or a high volume of matching very quickly and very efficiently. That concludes our discussion on working with schedules and queues. If you do have further questions on schedules and queues, we would suggest making sure to speak with your application specialist, as they will be able to get much more granular in being able to utilize these features for volume matching. If you would like more information, please follow us on our Data Color blog, or please check us out on Data Color Academy on our online website. I'd like to thank you for your time today. I hope this was of value to you, and we look forward to hearing from you in the near future.